Greetings, my beautiful Meccaneers. This week I am making Philly cheesesteaks. I wanted to try and make this recipe as authentically as I possibly could, but I have failed before I've even got in the kitchen. Find out why and why the goggles are on after this. Because I actually couldn't see a flipping thing. The goggles were down to give me a bit of added protection from any flack I may take going forward. Moving into this week's recipe, I feel like I'm stepping into an even more perilous minefield. I may be overstating this, but let's see how we go. So this week it's Philly cheesesteaks. Let's take a look at that name to begin with. This is the first food that I have cooked on Meck Eats America series that has the sort of geographical name of a place in the title of the food. For me, that's upping the ante a little bit. It's zoning in on a particular area, and when that happens, people tend to be even more fiercely protective of their recipe and the authenticity of it. I tried to think of other foods with place names in the titles, and I failed quite spectacularly. So that's first job for you, Meccaneers, in the comments. Give me some other foods that have the place name. So I thought of Texas barbecue, California rolls. Then I struggled. Okay, let me go. Ohio octopus, very famous dish. If you haven't heard of it, then you're obviously not real Americans. Think of another American place. Quick. Nebraska noodles. You can see I need some help with this. I also find the name quite a tongue twister. I even nearly got it wrong then. Philly cheesesteaks. I always say chili feast steaks because chili seems like a more natural word to start a food title with than Philly. Chili feast steaks is what I often say. Sometimes I say Philly cheesecake by accident. So the name is cool, but it's also confusing and it gets stuck in my mouth. Philly cheesecake. See? I didn't do that on purpose. Philly cheesesteak. I have watched a couple of videos of people, chefs in Philadelphia, in restaurants, making Philly cheesesteaks. And if you go through the comments, there are a number of people telling them they've got it wrong. You can't do that when you're making a Philly cheesesteak and still call it a Philly cheesesteak. It's not authentic. Or no, someone else, no, you can do that. That's fine. I live in Philadelphia. I have it like that all the time. But you can't do that. That's not correct. So these are Philadelphian chefs in their own restaurants making this thing, and people are telling them they're getting it wrong. What hope have I got? It ain't gonna happen, okay? I'll do my best. However, as I said in the intro, I've already failed because of the recipe that I've chosen. I went through a number of recipes, then had a look at a couple of recipes that I've used before from Natasha's kitchen. Now, Natasha adds 2 ingredients to her Philly cheesesteak that are not in the original. So bang, straight away, mucked it up. It's not authentic. But she adds a smear of garlic butter to the toasted bun and a smear of mayonnaise. That's it, just the 2 ingredients. When I saw that, I thought, I can't walk away from that now. I can't walk away from garlic butter and mayonnaise added to a recipe. So that is the recipe I'm going for. I'm sorry, Americans. I might need to put these down again for the protection. Well, how are you trying to do an authentic Philly cheesesteak and then you choose a recipe that's not an authentic recipe, Meck? You total idiot. I apologize. I'm very sorry. All my Americans, I have let you down. Forgive me. Let's talk ingredients. I have got a decent ribeye steak. I've got the right steak. Hoagie rolls. We do not have them here. So in the end, I've gone for a sort of ciabatta type sourdough thing. It's not proper sourdough. I know what proper sourdough is. Philadelphia knows what proper sourdough is. Cheese. The recipe calls for, I don't even know how you say it. I mean, it's Italian, provolone. Provolone. Can't get it here in the UK considering how close we are to Italy. Can get every other Italian cheese, can't get provolone. I don't know why. So I've got some mozzarella. I've also got some Emmental. Time to get in the kitchen. Let's go. So the first thing I did was wrap my steak up and put it into the freezer for 30 to 40 minutes just to firm up. Then I got a garlic clove and I minced it ready for the yummy garlic butter. Got some butter, smushed it all together. Finely chopped an onion. Then I got my bread, I cut it about 3/4 of the way through and just opened it out ready to go. Then I got my garlic butter, spread it onto the rolls that I cut open. Then I got my steak out of the freezer, a bit firmer than it was before, and I cut it as thinly as I possibly could into little thin strips. Next, I cooked my onions until they were nice and brown. Once they were cooked, I removed them from the hob top so that I could next cook my steak. Then I realised I'd forgotten to toast my buns, so I squidged them on with the steak, just until they were toasted, and then I removed them again. Added some salt and pepper to the steak, then put the onions back in to heat them back up, portioned it out into 2 separate piles, and then I added the cheese, and I turned off the hob so that the steak wouldn't keep properly cooking, but the cheese would melt. Quickly put a bit of mayo on the buns, ready to go. Then had a bit of a faff working out how I was going to do the next bit. So you can see I'm a bit unsure. The bun should have been in one piece, but it wasn't. And I did this mess of a steak flip, as it's called. So here it is. Philly cheese steak sandwich. There's no way I'm not going to like it. So this is going to drop everywhere. I need to put the plate kind of underneath me. It's lovely, as I thought. There is a hint of the garlic butter, not overpowering. There is a hint of the mayonnaise, again, not overpowering. So really what I'm getting is the flavour of the meat, which I'd seasoned as well as I could. So I guess that's kind of the whole point. The cheese, again, it's not provolone cheese, is subtle. Mozzarella hasn't got much of a flavour at all. So that's just in the background, adding a bit of fatty depth, I would say. Ribeye steak, not a steak that I eat that much of, but because it's got that lovely marbling, you know, it is a slightly fattier, juicier steak. Nothing wrong with that. So there's that steak fat going on in there as well, making it very unctuous. Is that a word? Satisfying. The whole sandwich seems to, you know, it is a carrier for that lovely meat, right? It's not all singing, all dancing. It hasn't got, you know, paprika and cumin or like barbecue spices. It's not slathered in hot sauce, so I'm sure that would be great. It's like, here's some beautifully cooked steak. We've added a few little bits just to pep it up, but there we go. That's what it's about. Simplicity is always best. It's just gorgeous. Definitely be making these ones again. Red Bush tea, the classic companion to a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. But what a beautiful thing. Simple, but beautiful. Like me. Another week done. What's next? I don't know. I only decide about 2 days before. Thanks to everyone who has commented on all my previous videos. I have a list of about 30 different dishes to try still. Please don't get bored of me saying this, but thank you, all new subscribers. It's been a heck of a week for subscribers and for comments. Genuinely appreciate it. Very pleased to have you along for this silly bit of fun that I'm doing at the moment. Like and subscribe if you feel inclined. Check out my blog this week, 3 Things Online. I gave up drinking 2 weeks ago. It's quite a big decision for me. I've written all about that decision and how it's been for me the past 2 weeks in my blog. So maybe I'll put a link to it in the description below. The recipe from Natasha's kitchen is also in the description below, so check it out. Have a great week, Americans, and anyone else who is watching on the planet. Captain Meck, out.